I'm Jamie.
And I'm Bev.
And we're from Small Acorn. Thanks for joining us for our very first video version of Fun Fact Friday.
We've been writing a new fact every Friday about pregnancy, birth, babies or parenting, and we've now reached the lofty mark of 100 weeks.
We thought what better a time to start sharing them with you in person than on our 100th week. Let's get started. Fun Fact Friday, week 100.
30% of a baby's blood is still in the placenta at birth. For its first months, a baby lives in a world where its heart pumps and its blood circulates, but it breathes no air and lives in an environment where no air exists. Yet it receives all of the oxygen necessary to thrive, and all the carbon dioxide that needs to be removed is taken. If breathing were defined as simple as a gas exchange, so oxygen for carbon dioxide, then that is exactly what an unborn baby would be doing, with the help of its lifeline, a miraculous organ, the placenta.
The placenta is the middleman, a defender and protector, an organ designed for the baby to help it thrive and grow and protect it from the world outside, and in some instances, protect it from its own mother.
The placenta has a crazy number of functions. Aside from enabling a gas exchange between the baby and the mother's own blood supply, it provides many other functions, including the most obvious, connecting the mother and the baby.
That's right. It's the sole provider of sustenance, providing all the nutrients necessary for an ever-growing and developing baby. It's been shown that placental metabolism plays a key role in limiting the transfer of some nutrients, namely fatty acids.
Another function of the placenta is thermoregulation. It keeps the baby warmer than the mother, typically 0.3 to 0.5 degrees higher than the mother's temperature, and is completely independent to the mother's own thermal regulation.
Along with removing carbon dioxide via the gas exchange, it also serves to remove other unwanted products such as urea, uric acid and creatine.
It helps with immunity, allowing antibodies to pass from the mother through to the baby, and this process starts at around 20 weeks, while also blocking harmful microbes at the same time.
To a mother's immune system, a baby can be seen as a foreign invader, something that has to be attacked. The placenta uses several mechanisms to help make the baby invisible to the mother's immune system, thus reducing the likelihood of being attacked.
Now, the placenta also releases many hormones essential for pregnancy, labour and birth, and in preparation for the 4th trimester.
The function most relevant to today's fun fact is that during pregnancy, the placenta acts as a reservoir for the baby's blood, increasing it or reducing it as required to regulate the baby's blood pressure. For the electronics nerds amongst you, it acts just like a capacitor. This fundamental function becomes pertinent at birth, especially with the global adoption of immediate cord clamping that started in the 1960s.
So this came as a consequence of the discovery of oxytocin in the 1950s and its synthesis a year later. This led to the introduction and use of oxytocic drugs, oxytocin-like drugs, during labour and active management of the 3rd stage when the placenta is expelled.
These changes reduced the incidence of postpartum hemorrhage, and as part of that procedure, immediate cord clamping was undertaken. The decision to undertake immediate cord clamping was made with little understanding or care given to the effects this would have upon a newborn. And so, immediate cord clamping was written into hospital trust policies and quickly adopted as routine throughout the world.
It has become so routine as to appear normal, permeating every part of our society and giving the impression that it must be done, it has to be done, and that it's actually the best thing to do. Yet we only started doing it 50 to 60 years ago and with little thought for the baby until recently.
Now we're going to reference studies. All studies we reference will be in the doobly-doo below. And one such study in 2010 found that early cord clamping can deprive newborns of up to 214 grams of blood. This equates to around 30% of their intended blood volume.
Yeah, and in 2011, another study showed that babies who had immediate cord clamping had higher incidences of iron deficiency anemia at 4 months. Now, anemia is caused by a lack of red blood cells. So when the cord is immediately clamped, these valuable red blood cells are left behind.
A follow-up study was published in 2015 that included 69% of the participants from the original 2011 study. This study showed that immediate cord clamping had a negative effect on the fine motor skills of boys. In other words, those boys that had delayed cord clamping showed better fine motor skills at 4 years old than those who'd had immediate cord clamping. This effect was not noticeable in girls, the thought being that girls were less affected because girls are born with iron stores. These studies defined immediate cord clamping as within 10 seconds of being born, and delayed cord clamping as being plus 3 minutes.
It's also worthy to note that the blood that gets left behind has very high concentrations of stem cells, which are critically important in development throughout the baby's entire life. Now, these are the same stem cells that have the ability to heal damage that the mother may sustain whilst pregnant, which is something that we covered back in Fun Fact Week 89.
Along with these studies came the work and campaigning of individuals. Judith Mercer, a professor of midwifery in the USA, has compiled extensive research showing the positive effects of delayed cord clamping on premature babies and recommends a minimum delay of 5 minutes.
And then there's the amazing work of Amanda Burley, a midwife from the UK who has spent more than 10 years campaigning for delayed cord clamping, and with help has managed to instigate change in the UK-based guidance for cord clamping.
In 2012, the Royal College of Midwives changed their guidance to say that delayed cord clamping is the best practice.
And there was another victory that occurred in 2014 with the introduction of NICE guidelines, CG 190, that stated that in a physiological third stage, meaning a non-medicalised period after the baby is born but before the placenta is ejected, should include no clamping of the cord unless pulsation has stopped. This guidance also freed up practitioners to change their own methods of working without resistance.
It's worth noting that the placenta does not stop working once the baby is born. It will keep supplying the new bundle of joy with everything it needs for many minutes after. That's how babies can be born into water. The placenta is designed to cater for all of the baby's oxygen needs until it begins to open its lungs and breathe for the first time.
Now, we have purposefully kept this week's fact for our centenary, so our 100th Fun Fact Friday. Yes. And of course, our very first appearance on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. So delayed cord clamping was the focus of our first ever blog post, the post that launched Small Acorn into being back in June 2014.
That's right, it was an article based on delayed cord clamping that was one of our very own Small Acorns. It appeared on our timeline long before we were considering children, but it stuck with us. When our time arrived, it was this article and a conversation triggered by another article that set us on our path.
Yeah, and for those of you that have never had the chance to see how an umbilical cord behaves, check out these pictures taken from birth to around 15 minutes after. And these pictures we have to say thanks to Nurturing Hearts Birth Services.
Thank you for joining us for our very first YouTube version of Fun Fact Friday.
Yes, we have enjoyed ourselves. We hope you have too. Please subscribe and share it with all of your friends.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, let them know that we'll be back week after week with more fun facts. So please do join us again.
See ya.
Bye.